Religious leaders and churchgoers around the country gathered in their numbers today to celebrate and commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead this Sunday. This after years of COVID-19 restrictions and reservations about whether gatherings should continue indeed. eNCA reporter Ronald Masinda is following those developments, and he was able to attend one of those services today. Very good afternoon to you, Ronald Masinda, and thank you for joining us on this Holy Sunday, as many would describe it. You went to a particular service this Sunday, and maybe just give us a sense of the major issues that were touched on but by the sermon that was given by the pastor.
Raphael, good afternoon. We actually went to two church services today in East London. The second of these church services was at the United Presbyterian Church. This is located about 15 kilometers outside of the East London CBD. And this church was not full to capacity, unfortunately, with about 60% capacity in church. Now, according to some of the religious leaders that we spoke to, they said that this was only due because of the church being only a year old. But what we also saw in that particular area of Gompo is that a lot of people, they choose to do other things when these public holidays. We saw a lot of people partying on the streets, having fun and drinking. And this is some of the social ills that some of these churches are saying that they are grappling with, trying to lure youth to churches, but instead the youth choose to be out on the streets instead of, going to church for these important occasions. But one of the churches that we went to was packed to capacity. In fact, there were no seats available. It was the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. They held their main service at the Orient Theatre in East London. And what we heard there from church leaders was that they were using that opportunity to give people renewed hope. I mean, a lot of South Africans have gone through so much over the past couple of years. I mean, even churches themselves, they went through difficulty during the COVID-19 pandemic, where there were a series of lockdowns where they were shut down at some point and also had to endure, not operating in full capacity. And a lot of these interfaith leaders that we spoke to during the time of the pandemic, reiterating now that, churches should have remained open, given that, a lot of people seek divine intervention during difficulties such as the COVID-19 pandemic. But what we also asked around is just the issue of having politicians around, because this is also, it tends to be a thorny issue among the religious faith leaders when they see these politicians. They say sometimes they try to use these opportunities to drum up support for their political parties, and that they've sent out a stern warning that this is not the space, especially when they mark such occasions as the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But what we also found out is that these churches are now urging all South Africans to join hands and also be among them when they celebrate these big occasions, because it's not only about those who are outside, not only about those who are inside the religion, but also those who can also try to understand how the faith works and so on. But what we also did, Refuah, was put together a story on our visit today. Let's take a look at it.
Congregants of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa gathered in large numbers at East London's Orient Theatre. Reverend Thamsanqa Ndingi says the Easter Sunday message is one they hope will bring renewed hope for a better South Africa.
People live amidst crime. There is so much crime happening in our country. There is so much loss of hope coming from the time of COVID, the COVID lockdowns. People lost their jobs. People lost their livelihoods. So many people are unemployed. So when we gather here for the Resurrection Sunday particularly, the message is about hope, that it's not all lost. There is still life in Jesus Christ.
Meanwhile, some churches are hoping to use the Easter weekend to grow their following and see more youths attending churches.
Sisazama izistrategies zokuthi sikhangele, sivangele, sizise ulutsha isikakhulu ukwenzela into yokuba lunqabe phangaphandle lube ngaphakathi enkonzweni, ukwenzela into yokuba zonke ii-challenges ezidibana nalo zidibane nazo ii-challenges zingaphakathi enkonzweni zizokwazi ufumana ukhuseleko ne-backup enguThixo.
Religious leaders in the Eastern Cape say the resurrection of Christ should be viewed as the biggest occasion in the religion, and that those who are seeking divine intervention should start attending the gatherings. Ronald Masinda, East London.